Okay, welcome everyone. We're really excited to welcome you to our business summit. Today is our very first session of a 3-week summit. We have 10 really great sessions in store for you. This, of course, is week 1, and we have themes for all of our weeks. And this week is called Workforce Forward. So trying to provide some potential solutions to help people with the employee shortage and how they can get their business back up to full strength following COVID. We are live on Facebook, and we're going to give our Facebook folks just a second to get on that link before we jump into the content. I just want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. We have the City of College Place, the City of Walla Walla, the Port of Walla Walla, and the Blue Zones Project. We're really grateful to those folks. Because of their sponsorships, we're able to provide all of this content to you for free. And again, this will be available on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and also on our website. And so you can refer back to this at any point during the future. We also want you to be aware that there are a few ways that you can interact with us. If you have questions, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen there is a Q&A button that you can hit. You can ask questions through the chat, or if you are one of our members of our Facebook audience, you can post questions in the comments, and we will make sure that our panelists get those questions during the presentation. And if they don't cover that during the presentation, there's a little bit of time at the end for Q&A as well. So please remember to ask your questions, and we will get to those. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today. This session is called Students, an Answer to Your Labor Challenges, hopefully helping to make aware an untapped pool of talent that we have in our community. And so we have Kim Hamann from Walla Walla Community College joining us, Darel Harwell from Walla Walla University, and Mitzy from Whitman College. So we're really excited to have these folks. A community our size is unique and very lucky to have 3 institutions of higher learning here. It attracts a wonderful talent pool, as well as provides many training opportunities for people who already live in the Walla Walla area. That being said, we are going to throw it to our panelists and let them take over. Everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. During our time today, we'd really like to focus on sharing the many ways we can connect with students from 3 different colleges in Walla Walla, and really learning how our programs and resources can help support the work that already doing onboarding new talent to your organization. As Kyle mentioned, my name is Mitzy. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a part of the Career and Community Engagement Center, or the CCEC, at Whitman College. I joined the Whitman community in 2019. However, I am a native of Walla Walla, born and raised, so it's nice to be back and giving back to the community that helped me. I'm joined by 2 amazing colleagues from the neighboring institutions, so I'll turn it over to them to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Kim Hamann. I am a career services specialist at Walla Walla Community College. I've been with the college since August, but was a student before that, and grew up in the Walla Walla Valley as well. So I'm really excited to just share some great opportunities with everybody.
I'm Darel Harwell, the Assistant Director for Experiential Learning and Internships at Walla Walla University. Also live here in Walla Walla, love the Valley, and excited to share some exciting information with you guys.
Okay, so we are really excited to be a part of the Business Summit for 2022. We think this is a great way to connect with community partners, hopefully establish some new partnerships, and again, share the many programs and resources we have available to students and employers to help support our different talents in our institutions. So we thought it would be really important to share that information with all of you, hopefully answer some questions. And as we we'd love to invite you the opportunity for you to connect with us should you have additional questions after today's session. We know that all of you work in different capacities with our students, and so we know that these are really meaningful experiences that contribute and impact to students' long-term professional goals and graduation outcomes. So thank you for investing the time to be here and hearing what we have to offer.
And so first off, I'd like to talk a little bit about how experiential learning can benefit your organization. And when I'm working with employers, the first thing I like to talk about is creating a recruitment pipeline. And when I do that, I like to talk about the words early and often and discuss some multi-level engagement. Really thinking in terms of understanding that at college or university, we have students that are arriving as freshmen who are really starting to explore their careers and fields and beginning to ask those big questions of what do I want to do with my life. And so being able to engage as early as the freshman year with students as an organization is really beneficial in terms of an awareness and helping them make those decisions by exposing them to a lot of different areas of their fields that maybe they don't even know exist. And then continuing that engagement level on through the sophomore, junior, and senior levels through coming onto our campuses, engaging with our students to share your mission and values of your organizations, and engaging, of course, in internships and things. So the idea that then those students can be part of your hiring plan through acculturation, the idea that maybe you can help create the ideal employee that you want in your organization. Waiting until after graduation to engage with them comes with a cost because, as we all know, it's expensive to bring employees into our organizations. And the idea that once an employee is there, if they were to turn over and move on, that can be really expensive and costly both in time and in terms of monetary value as well for organizations. So helping to create an employee who's already invested in your mission and values is a really large benefit of engaging with students early and often. I also like to talk about edge of desk projects. The idea that as managers, directors, leaders in our community, you have things you're doing every day that you are doing just to maintain your organizations, to keep them moving forward. But there's always those edge of desk projects that you really would like to get to. You'd like to move something forward, those dream projects. And very often, it's 7 o'clock at night, you'd like to go home and see your family, and maybe those haven't moved forward. And students can be a great way to help nudge those projects forward. Additionally, internally to your organizations, this is a great way to do what I call supervisor tryouts. If you have folks in your organizations who are demonstrating some potential towards leadership, the ability to guide others, this is a way to have them try that out and see how they perform and be able to provide some valuable feedback to them. Lastly, also new perspectives. Remember that our students are part of what I call our emerging clientele. We think of social media, just the way that over the last 10 years that has impacted every organization at every level. Our students, of course, are really, really familiar with technologies and things that are always at the cutting edge of emerging just by nature of being young and being students. So it's a great way both to hear their perspectives as well as to recognize that they are part of that clientele. So the better you know them, oftentimes the better you know the clientele that's emerging for your organizations. So there's lots of different types of experiential learning. The one we're going to talk about a lot today is internships. And what makes an internship really is that it's for academic credit. Remember that the students who are coming out are hoping to utilize the skills and abilities that they're building in the classrooms that are coming out into your organizations to learn really valuable skills and to learn and practice using those skills from the classroom in your organizations. Certainly practicums also have a lot of that value for things like psychology and sociology. There's also volunteer and service learning opportunities where students are giving their time once again to help you move your mission forward, but maybe less in an academic sense. We also live in part of what we call the gig economy now. So students are a great idea for gig projects. If you have little things that need done, many of our students have skills and abilities that can really be valuable there. And in terms of larger group projects or class projects, professors love case studies and class projects. The ability to bring real world problems into the classroom and engage with both employers and students around those problems and learn from them is really valuable. Many students have great research capacities. So if there's things you want to do a deep dive on a market analysis or something like that, they're a great way for them to learn, to be able to explore these kinds of skills and abilities, but also for you to get some valuable data to help your organizations. Certainly we have student teaching and as well as tutoring. Many of our students are out performing tutoring in our communities right now. So there's also lots and lots of other ways for experiential learning to take place.
Darel, that's probably a good point to ask a question. We had somebody ask, what is the difference between an internship and a work study? Is that the same thing, or are those two separate programs?
So they would be two separate things in that an internship is demonstration of class learning. So it's a learning experience. Now that is not to say that an intern cannot take part as a work study student. So work study is based off of the expected family contribution or the FAFSA of students in terms of their ability to provide financial resources for their own education. So there's work study programs at all organizations of education to help those students attain learning. So a work study student certainly can also be doing that through an internship.
And so the work study is not necessarily, it's not for academic credit, and it might not be specifically part of their course of study.
To clarify, work study, so we can have work study students who go out and perform things that are non-internships, non-academic value, but they can also do that through an internship for academic value. So work study is really about the economic side of that, of how their education is being paid for and how they're paid.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
So as Darel mentioned, going into all of the different types of experiential learning, one that we're going to focus on today is internships. So if you currently have interns or you're interested in maybe bringing interns into your organization and developing an internship program, there are some important things to just kind of keep in mind. Always at the forefront is, as Darel mentioned, an internship is meant to be work-related learning for students to gain that hands-on real-world experience in an occupation that's related to the program that they're studying at their institution. So as you are developing an internship program, there's just some important things to keep in mind. So in regards to the DOL and the Fair Labor Standards Act, they do provide some guidance. This is especially important if you have unpaid interns. Interns can be paid in the way of reimbursements or stipends, things like that. But if they are receiving like a wage or a salary similar to your other employees, then they would be considered a paid employee. So just keeping that in mind. And then as you're kind of crafting an internship, the Fair Labor Standards Act does use the primary beneficiary test just to determine the value for the student, and always keeping kind of that internship structure in mind. So there should always be a mutual understanding, very explicit of the if there's no expectation of compensation, that should be very well outlined. If there is going to be a stipend or reimbursements, then that should be outlined as well in any policies surrounding your internship. Number 2 and 3 there, always keeping in mind as well that the internship should really be centered around the educational component, the educational program that the student is a part of. So it should provide similar training and experience to what they're learning in the classroom, and just really tied to that program. So it can be helpful as you are looking into what types of programs or what degrees you might be looking for interns. It can be helpful to really take a deeper dive into working with one of us or working with somebody else from the institution to take a deeper dive at the specific degree program and really seeing what are the students learning in the classroom, so you can really make sure that the internship is complementary of that. Number 4 and 5 there, it's important to also keep in mind that an intern is a student first, and so we want to make sure that we are putting their academics first, in the sense that we are, making sure that the internship is accommodating of their educational program and of their academic calendar. So typically, an internship is going to run for 1 to 2 quarters or semesters, depending on which institution you're working with. So you're looking at, 3 to 6 months, maybe a little bit longer in some situations. But the duration is limited. It's not meant to continue, through their program of study, but rather, a shorter term experience, just for them to gain that real world experience that does, kind of match up with their academic calendar. The intern should not be seen as, like free or cheap labor. They shouldn't displace any of your organization's paid employees, and so should rather, complement the work that you're already doing, and not be used to, fill any vacancies or, displace any paid employees. And then also, there should be a mutual understanding that the intern's not entitled to a permanent position at the conclusion of the internship. So if your organization is able to provide a paid position, a permanent position at the conclusion of the internship, that's great. We love to see that when there is that opportunity. But if your organization can't provide that, and it's just not in the cards for you at that time, that's okay too. This is still really, really great experience for our students to gain that hands-on experience and really, put to practice what they're learning in the classroom. And then just a few other pieces to keep in mind. As I mentioned, paid versus unpaid internships. So in Washington State, if an intern is paid a wage or a salary similar to other employees in your organization, then they would be considered an employee and have the same rights as your other employees. If they are being paid in a stipend or reimbursements for gas or tools, any other costs that they incur as part of their internship, that's okay. So it really is just kind of a case-by-case basis, and we're happy to chat with you more about that. As far as the L&I premium, so again, for those traditional paid interns that are receiving a normal wage, they do have to be reported just like your other employees. For unpaid interns, organizations do have the ability to elect to purchase medical aid coverage only for volunteers or unpaid students. They're seen as the same as far as that coverage goes. The institution wouldn't be the ones purchasing that medical aid coverage, but the organization can elect to purchase that coverage. And then also keeping in mind workplace accommodations. So interns typically are going to fall under Title III of the ADA, which is public accommodation. So, in the same way that you are, allowing a space that is accommodating to any folks with disabilities, allowing service animals, things like that. That's the same for interns and volunteers. If there is an intern that you're looking at working with that does have needs some disability accommodations, all 3 of our institutions have disability support services, and we are able to provide or loan out different technology or different equipment to provide that intern with an accommodation so that they can be successful in that internship program. And then just inclusive hiring practices. So all 3 of our institutions, as well as really any other higher ed institution that you work with, we do have international students. And so for those international students to take part in internships, they do have to receive special training authorization, which can take a little bit of time. And so just keeping that in mind, if you are planning on hiring interns, just make sure you get that posting out there sooner rather than later, so that those international students that need to get that extra piece with that training authorization do have ample time to be able to do that.
Okay, Kim, I do have one quick question for you here then. The timing, a lot of employers don't think about the same timing that colleges and universities do with semesters and quarters. So if there is a project that might be a good fit for an intern, what is the best timing for an employer? When should they be reaching out to you, and how long can that process take before they start to when they can get an intern on board?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different factors. Some of the different academic programs have internships already built in, and so they might, have their internships in a specific quarter or semester of the program. And so, so a lot of it depends on that. But the sooner that an employer can reach out, the better, just so we can, make sure that we can get all our ducks in a row on both sides and just really make the internship as meaningful as possible. But that being said, we have protocol in place, and so we can get an internship developed usually pretty quickly. So as long as we have I would say a month or so to get things kind of lined out. But if we can have more time than that, great, so that we can just get those, for example, those international students or those workplace accommodations, just so that can all be lined out. So yeah, it's a lot of different factors that go into it. If you think you're interested, it's never too early to reach out to us to discuss maybe where an internship program could fit with your organization.
Okay, thank you.
I jump in really quickly and add to that. I think you did a great job, and I'll echo, the sooner we can get in touch and hear about the type of work and the projects and who might be, able to help you with the project work is great. So we can get it in front of students and they have enough time to get their materials ready to apply, figure out their own schedules. We very much run on academic year calendars. So think about the start of the academic year, which is typically fall semester, August, September on our institutions, and then wrapping up around May or June. So that also students are looking for experiences during the academic year, but also during their longer term breaks, so winter and summer. And so trying to align with those different sessions or terms, I should say, is great. However, I think students are always looking for ways to get involved. So don't feel like, oh, I missed the start of the academic year, I can't get involved. That's not true. I mean, we're always open to having conversations. So I'll jump right in. Hopefully this slide and the next one will answer a few questions in regards to Washington State Work Study and DOL, what Darel already shared. As you're getting prepared to structure your project work, your experience, you're identifying what makes the most sense. Is this an internship? Is this a micro internship? Is this a research assistant? And the scope of the work all kind of tie into what types of resources and programs might be available to you. And so, if your organization is able to compensate and pay the student for the work that they're doing, we definitely are all for it. We think that's one way of equalizing access to such opportunities for all of our students. There is a resource known as the Washington State Work Study Program for employers who are providing that type of compensation. And so this is more of a reimbursement program where employers are paying their students and can receive a percentage of their students' wages reimbursed. This is a great program to get involved in. I mean, thousands of employers gain access to this really great, cost-effective help. The scope of the work isn't necessarily structured in a specific way, so each experience can look very different. There are different eligibility requirements in terms of employers and students, and so I'll go through that here in a minute. But I just want to say, you know, if you're thinking about onboarding a team, this is a great way to start recruiting talent. And so eligibility for employers is pretty open. All Washington state employers, so nonprofits, for-profits, government agencies can apply for the Washington State Work Study program. Private citizens or employers requiring their students to work outside of the U.S. would not be eligible for the reimbursement. The reimbursement rate varies from 40 to 70%. We were able to provide some of that confirmation beforehand. So if you have questions about what reimbursement percentage you would receive, feel free to reach out. Student eligibility is that they must be Washington State residents, work study eligible, and enrolled at an institution that offers Washington State work study for off-campus employers. If you're offering the work study role during a break, they just must be enrolled for the following term. So if you're offering work study over the summer, they must be enrolled for the following fall term. How do you know if the student is work study eligible? You're able to flag that on your job description and just say this is open to work study students, and they have that understanding if they are eligible or not. You can communicate that to you. You're able to offer this year round. So if you're thinking about part-time or seasonal role, you can definitely do that throughout the year, summer, fall, winter, spring. There isn't necessarily a requirement of hours. However, there are caps and maximums. So if you're offering a work study role during the academic year, students are able to engage in that type of work up to 19 hours a week. And then over longer breaks, such as summer, students can engage in up to 40 hours a week. That may vary depending on the student's availability, especially over the academic year, right? Whatever other commitments they have, they may not be able to meet that maximum of 19 hours, maybe more of a 6 to 10 hour commitment. Wage requirements, there isn't necessarily a certain amount that employers must pay their student employees. They must at least do Washington State minimum wage, but you're able to offer more. So just keep that in mind. And what's really great is once you've applied for the work study program and you've gotten through all of the documents and have gotten approved, you don't have to reapply for the program every time you hire a work study student. You're able to hire as many students as you can. And it actually doesn't even just have to be limited to students from our institutions. They can come from varying institutions. We just encourage you to confirm with the colleges and universities you're working with to ensure that you completed all necessary steps. Similar to what Darel mentioned about experiential learning opportunities benefiting your organization, hiring a work study is very similar, right? You're able to help a student achieve their goals and achieve their career readiness, gaining some new skills and competencies, while simultaneously helping your organization recruit new talent, get some work done at a cost-effective manner.
Okay, well, hopefully we're getting some of you excited about the idea of working with students. So, as we continue this conversation, an important part of this is making sure that the experience is meaningful. And what I mean by that is that it's meaningful both for you as an employer and that it's meaningful for the students. And so I like to tell employers, really start with doing a needs and opportunities analysis within your own organization. It is a little bit of a lift at the beginning to build an internship, right? It takes a little bit of work for an organization to get there. Not too much, but a little bit. And so the best idea I like to approach is to think in terms of a program, building an internship program as opposed to building an individual opportunity. I want the experience to be such that you want another intern and another one from our organizations to keep this going and build energy and growth in our community. So what that means is starting really with a discussion inside your organization. What are the areas where you want to grow? What are some things you want to try out? What are some possible positions you may want to create in the future as you're adjusting to the market you're a part of? And so what that leads to, hopefully, then, is really starting with a position description. I tell every employer I work with, it's not real until there's a position description. And that means really sitting down, as you would with any position description, talking about what are the duties and responsibilities that we want this intern to contribute to our organization. And that once again means making sure that it's focused work, that it's work that is related to their academic area. And once again, if you need any clarity on that, many of our organizations have, perhaps 100 majors. So really reach out to us and say, hey, I'm thinking about this area of work. What are some majors that might align with that? We're happy to work with you. Really think in terms of both daily tasks. What are the things that we would like our student to show up at our organization and do every day to help us? But also think in terms of a project. I harken back to that edge of the desk projects that I talked about earlier. It really helps our students, remember they're using this, hopefully they may come work for your organization thereafter as a full-time employee, but if not, they're going to be using this experience in their interviews with other organizations. So while it's certainly beneficial to talk about real world work in terms of daily tasks, it's really powerful for them to be able to talk about a project that they had some ownership of, where they can talk about where they arrived, where the project was, and where they helped take it by the time they left. You think of when you're interviewing any potential employee, those storylines are really powerful for you as a hiring executive. So really think about providing those opportunities to the students as well. And they don't have to be huge projects. And it is possible, by the way, to build it into the program such that a project is carried over between interns and there's sort of a handoff there such that one project can continue on through multiple interns. We can get really creative with this. So once again, reach out and we're happy to help you figure out how to structure that. Make sure that you choose a designated site supervisor. It's very important that every intern has an individual within your organization that they know is the person that they come to when they have questions or when their project is stalled out and they need to know how to move forward. So really have a critical discussion about who has energy and excitement around this. And once again, what is their capacity? This is, a part-time employees in some ways. There's some hours there in terms of providing feedback. So make sure that the site supervisor is really going to have time to work with a student. It's beneficial to have a designated workspace, just like with all of us, if that's possible, as a place where they can continue to come back and work each time. And remember that we're in 2022. We're all coming post-COVID-19 now. So many of us have worked virtually. So that's true for our students as well. If you don't have a large space, or perhaps there's not the availability for a designated workspace, it is possible to have students work remotely. In many of the areas that they already are doing their work as an academic, they know that they're headed into career fields that are largely virtual now. So it's very powerful for them to learn how to do that in a real world context after they've already been doing it in an academic context. And many of us know how to do that and provide feedback for them on how to do that successfully. So have a discussion in your organization, which makes most sense for us. And also think in terms of the opportunity to share your network. So as our students are getting started in their fields, and we all remember this graduating from college, you don't have a vast network in your field yet. So the ability for them to work alongside of you and then have opportunities to meet the people that you work with routinely in your field and to hear their feedback. So, when you have a luncheon and you're meeting with a colleague, invite them along and let them listen in on the conversation, maybe do an introduction. Those things are really, really powerful. It helps broaden their prospective employers, as well as their understanding of the field they're taking part in.
Darel, we had a question come in that fits along with the second bullet point there on the project description. What would you say to an employer who says, I would like to offer internships, but I'm afraid nobody would be interested in my line of work?
I would say you would be surprised. We were all there and we're interested in it. So there's almost undoubtedly there's a student somewhere in one of our organizations who would find that interesting, or would like to give it a shot. To find out if they're interested in. That's one of the really powerful things that we all talk to our students about, is that you don't know what you like or don't like until you've had the opportunity to try it out. So, call us up, have a conversation with us, let us know if it relates to the academics of the student. Remember, for an internship, that is really the core of it, is it's related to their academic area. So if it is, most likely there's some students out there who would be interested in it. Concerning the position description, how that relates to it, I encourage employers, really share a little bit about your organization in the position description. Just like with us,
who you're working for and what the meaning of the work you're doing is really, really powerful for students as well. They want to know why they're contributing to something and what the larger picture is for why you're doing the work you're doing. And if you're able to share that, if you're doing it, hopefully you're passionate about it. If you're able to share that passion, there's a good chance that a student's going to get passionate about it as well.
Perfect. And I'll take this opportunity to remind people, if you have a question, please post it in the chat. You can also use the Q&A function, or if you're part of our Facebook audience, please write your questions in the comments.
Okay, so hopefully you're getting really excited. You're starting to think about how to do this. So the next step after this, of course, is now we're going to begin some onboarding. So when you're thinking, you have your position description created, you're ready to start reaching out to organizations and posting and moving forward with finding a good intern, do conduct interviews. Very often, one of us or some of our faculty may also be a source, a recommendation for a student, but still conduct interviews, because this is a great time to explore what is it that they want to learn from your organization, and to think about, does that align with the mission, values, goals, those things and objectives that we're working on currently. So have that conversation. Have interviews with several students if you can. We want you to have the best possible experience, which means oftentimes interviewing several different candidates to find the best one you can that aligns, the best with your organization. Work with them after you're in that process to create their schedule. Be mindful they do have classes. So their schedule will be a little bit different than hiring a part-time standard employee. And when you have them there, give them an organization interview, share with them the mission, goals, and the current initiatives. Just like any one of us, if we get hired in a new job, it's really important to know, okay, so what are you working on right now? What are the things that the organization I'm a part of suddenly are really excited about, and how can I help with that? That adds a lot of this meaning to it. Give them a facility tour. I've worked with some employers in the past who for some reason, they draw kind of a distinction between an employee and an intern. So they forget to do things like walk them around the organization, show them where their workspace is, what the full hours of operation are, as well as where the resources are. And don't forget to do staff introductions. It's important for them to kind of know who the people are and what their roles are. That way on week 4, when you tell them to run over and grab this resource from this person, they know who that person is when they walk over to get that resource from them. And lastly, you're at some point going to have a learning objectives discussion and revision with your student. So at Walla Walla University, all of our required internships have about 5 learning objectives that students and their academic advisor begin to create when they're thinking about an internship in their field. Things that they're going to demonstrate learning through in their external experience at an internship. So when they come out to work with you, it's really important to sit down and say, so what is it that you're trying to learn, so that you can work with them to identify the avenues for them to demonstrate that learning at your organization. And of course, there's going to be some revision there, because you know your organization the best, and you're going to be able to provide feedback about how that will happen, if it will happen, and perhaps make some changes to those learning objectives, which is very common and 100% okay. So make sure you have that discussion with the students as well.
Awesome. So we've taken a closer look at the different types of experiential learning that may be available. Our campuses have a lot of similarities between the 3, but there's also some differences. We're all unique campuses, kind of have unique programs and resources. And so we want to take a little bit of a closer look, a deeper dive at what each campus offers as well, so you can see what might fit best with your organization. And it may be that all 3 of us have something that that's really piques your interest, and so that's great. Definitely reach out to all of us. But just to give you a little bit of a better idea of what we offer by campus. So at Walla Walla Community College, we offer everything from 1-quarter certificate programs all the way to of course we have our AA like workforce programs, our AA transfer programs, and we do also now have bachelor's programs in ag and business management. So the whole gamut of educational opportunities. Specifically, taking a closer look at some of our different pathways. It's just super broad. So in our ag and natural resources, that is our enology and viticulture program that a lot of people are familiar with, turf management, ecology, irrigation, our ag business and ag production, as well as things like pre-vet. Our arts, humanities, and communications programs, that's where our kind of just more general transfer programs fall. And so even though those students are working on typically like their general education requirements before they transfer, there is still opportunity for interns or for you to hire, a part-time student employee that is focused on a wide variety of goals once they transfer. So a lot of opportunity there as well. In our business and consumer services pathway, that's things like accounting, business administration, even our cosmetology and culinary programs fall under that pathway. And then our STEM pathway is like our computer science programs, engineering, biology, chemistry. In manufacturing, electrical, and transportation, we have automotive and collision repair programs, diesel technology, welding, and then our energy systems technology that is broken down into a few different concentrations: mechanical, facilities, renewable energy. So some opportunities there as well. And then education and social sciences are going to be our education programs. So that's both, AA, more workforce aligned programs for students who are wanting to get their AA and then maybe work as a paraprofessional, as well as students who are wanting to transfer and get their teaching certificate. Our early childhood education program, and then criminal justice and social services also fall in that pathway. And then, of course, we have our healthcare and emergency services, so things like EMT, fire science, CNA, phlebotomy, and of course nursing, which most folks are familiar with as well. So just to show that we offer a really broad spectrum of degrees and programs. Some do have internships or practicums built in, but even those that don't, there is still opportunity there to develop an internship, or for you to just hire one of our students as a regular employee that's can really add value to your organization. So if you are interested in working with or hiring one of our students, you can visit our career coach website there on from our main webpage. You would want to create an employer profile. From there, you can start posting opportunities, whether that be a traditional job or internships. And then students are alerted to those job postings and can submit their resume for you to review. As Darel mentioned, it's really important to go through that interview process with students so that you can get to know them a little bit better. They can get to know the values of and mission statement of your organization, as well as it's just really great practice for our students as they are approaching graduation and starting to approach the real world, to just get that interview practice as well. So I really encourage you to check out the Career Coach website. We are in the process right now of kind of expanding our career services options and what's available to students and to businesses in the community. And so I would encourage you to, if you think you're interested in working with us or just want more information, my contact email will be included at the end of the slides. And so feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to get you on our mailing list and let you know we hope to have some job fairs and different events coming up this spring quarter. So definitely feel free to reach out for more information.
So Whitman College is very different from Walla Walla College. Our degrees lie trusted in academic areas. We don't necessarily have this workforce development program, but we are working on supporting and preparing our students in different ways to join organizations locally, nationally, maybe even internationally. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Yeah, I guess really just wanting you to be aware of maybe the different programs that can support exceptional learning opportunities you may have to offer. And honestly, the best way to get connected to our students is through our job and internship platform known as Handshake. Similar to Career Coach, but different on a different platform, obviously. But you are able to create an employer account. Once that employer account is created, you can connect with different schools, such as Whitman College, such as Walla Walla. There are different institutions across the U.S. that use Handshake platform. It's a really user-friendly, I think, way to upload either volunteer internships, jobs, part-time, full-time. So all of our students have access to see what types of opportunities are available. We do have more information on how to create an employer account, how to upload a job description, etc., on our Hire Away employer page. So you can definitely check out that resource on our website. There are specific internship programs that we oversee through the Career and Community Engagement Center, the Whitman Internship Grant, the Human Fellow Program, and the Whitman Student Consulting Corps. Very different in terms of project work and the specific experiences they support. The Community Fellow Program and the Whitman Student Consulting Corps are more organization driven. The Community Fellow Program is an opportunity for local nonprofits to partner with students for a year-long project that's community facing, so addressing some type of cultural, economic, social need. It's a very highly collaborative program, so we ask that if your organization is applying for a community fellow program, that was allowing the student onboarding to connect with other community partners to move the work forward. The Whitman Student Consulting Corps is a semester-long, individualized, free of charge management consulting for nonprofits. And so Shelly Rasmussen, our community consulting specialist, oversees that program and will be able to answer any specific questions related to that opportunity. So community fellow program year long, Whitman Student Consulting Corps semester long. The Whitman Internship Grant is different in the sense that that is a more student-driven process where students go out, explore, research, apply, and secure unpaid internships. And so these internships can be posted on Handshake. They may have created their own internship or have found it a different method. That's not really a limitation for applying for the program. But once that student has secured an unpaid internship, they are able to come back and apply for funding through our college. And so that experience may be a semester long and maybe an academic year long, and have summer grants available to really align with the different timeframes that these internships are taking place. If you're interested in being a part of the Whitman Internship Grant, feel free to give me a call. I'd be happy to help you talk through what that process looks like. So our Hire Away page, as I referenced earlier, is an employer page designed to help you access information about the different programs I just mentioned. It also has information about Washington State Work Study. We have Handshake information on there, so it's a one-stop shop for accessing resources. I also wanted to mention ways that you might be able to interact and connect with our students either via career fairs or employer information sessions. We host a few different career fairs throughout the year, in-person and virtual options. We have one typically a semester, so in the fall it's our larger career fair where we are inviting employers locally and nationally to join us. They can share about the different programs they have available. In the spring, we have a smaller in-person and virtual job and internship fair where we're inviting employers in the Pacific Northwest to join us and maybe share more about their upcoming summer experiences. Employer information sessions, if you're interested in hosting a session to share what your organization is about, maybe some openings happening, you can contact us and we can help coordinate the logistics of that and what time makes sense to host that. If you're interested in either of those, I really encourage you to get on Handshake, because that's usually when we send out our notices in terms of save the dates, registrations for career fairs, and so you don't want to miss out on that information. General questions can be directed to the CCPC info@whitman.edu email, and we can help you be connected with the right person, either for the different programs or for your information sessions.
And at Walla Walla University, we have over 100 major areas. So many of those have required internships built in for our students. So for example, our business department, where we have things like accounting, finance, marketing, business management, all of those have required internships for our students. So we have a lot of students who are really excited to connect with you and find opportunities to do that. Similar to our communications and design department, we have students who have gone out and done things like graphic design work, worked on communication strategic plans in the community, done website redevelopment through our computer science department, things like that. Certainly we have our psychology and social work departments that have required practicums. So many of you have probably had our students come out and work with you there. Through engineering, we have mechanical, civil, bio, and computer engineering programs. So please do think in terms of, if you're working in those areas, there's a ready workforce waiting right there who are, some of them are 3 to 6 months away from graduation, where they'll be doing this full time. So they certainly have some deep skills that they can contribute to your organization. And those are just some of the highlights. As I said, we have over 100 major areas, and many of them have required experiential learning components. We also have career fairs. Each year we host our local internship meetup, which I hope a lot of you have joined in the past. That's held in October, where we invite folks from the Walla Walla Valley specifically to come out onto our campus and interact with our students. We also hold a career and graduate school fair in November, where we encourage employers to come and connect with our students about upcoming hiring possibilities, which aligns a little bit better sometimes with the budgeting cycle for a lot of your organizations that is coming up. We also offer an event called First Impressions, usually in the spring, which is less of a career fair. It's an opportunity for networking, professional networking. So rather than having sort of large tables and lots of brochures, we're standing up, and we have a piano player that has hors d'oeuvres and those sorts of things. Just more of a community event for our students to get the opportunity to feel what it looks like to really just interact with you as working professionals and get to know you, which is a lot of fun. We also have in-person and virtual info sessions, so you can reach out to us and talk about coming out onto our campus either virtually or in person to talk at a deeper level about your organization. We also utilize Handshakes, so it's a great resource. That is also how we broadcast to our employer partners about our upcoming events. So please do go to Handshake and register. It's free of charge. I don't know if Mitzy mentioned that, but it's free to all employers, so it's a great way to connect with a lot of organizations. All of this information is available on our Student Development Center webpage. So please do go on there. That has all of our contact information to reach out with any questions you have. Lastly, we also have our Center for Humanitarian Engagement, which is focused more on volunteer and service work, works closely with the Blue Zones Project and things of that nature. So it's a great way to reach out and connect with our students in a slightly different manner.
Okay, you can see that we have the contact information for all of our presenters. Thank you all so much for being here today and for helping us understand a little bit more about this potentially untapped resource that we have in our community. One question that I have that comes up just from looking at the folks who have registered for this session, I noticed that we have people who work for government agencies at the
go out to organizations at all of those levels and have really, really positive experiences for both the employer and for the student.
Excellent. Well, I think that I would like to add a testimonial from the chamber side. We have utilized students for a lot of different projects that we've had here. Everything from events to graphic design. really is a unique opportunity. We have everything from, 18-year-old recently graduated high school student. So there's a very diverse group of skills out there, people who you can utilize. We don't have any other questions here, and our time is just about out. I want to remind people that this video will be immediately available on our Facebook page. We will also post it to our YouTube channel and to our website, along with the slide deck and the contact information of our presenters. So if you have any questions, you can refer back to the presentation, or if you come up with any questions that we didn't go over today, you can reach out and ask those directly. So Kim, Darel, Mitzy, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to everyone who watched this webinar, whether it be through Zoom or through Facebook. And just remind folks that we will have more sessions the rest of the week and over the next 3 weeks. So thank you all very much. We appreciate it, and thank you to everyone for watching. See you all.